And we're live.
And it's Friday.
We're here to show off something we've been working on. And when I say me or we, I mean mostly Andrea and Dan.
But it's a team effort. And this whole team, and yes, it was a team effort all around, Susan, on both our side and theirs.
but I want to give a lot of credit to Dan. He has been working his tail off building a 2.0 membership and making it fit the vision that Andrea and I put together. And so this is just kind of the start of what we are going to be doing. This is like a little taste of what we have planned.
And he really gets it from three sides, right? He gets you and me and Nicole on the design front. There's a lot of demands on you, Dan. I gotta get, I don't usually give you enough appreciation, I don't think. So
well,
you did a good job.
Luckily I'm a 60-year-old man now, so I've learned over those 60 years how to not listen when women are talking. So I'm okay with three of you because I don't hear any of you anyway. So I'm just fine.
We all know that is not true. We appreciate you.
It's been awesome. And Andrew, you did mention Nicole. So we're about to share with you in a moment the membership build. You're going to be able to see it, and it's beautiful. And Nicole on the team is the designer of it, and she did an awesome job. So of course we can't forget Nicole. Okay, so before we get into it, you can see in the description of this video that this is a membership build in 2.0, and it's gonna blow your socks off, but it is focused around a library model and a masterclass model. So Andrea is going to tell us all what does that mean? What is the library model experience? What is the library experience, and what is a masterclass experience? So tell me when, and I'll share.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
So just as a quick recap, if you've been with us for a while, you have heard this a lot, but just if this is the first time that you're joining us or hearing this, just as a really quick recap, we specialize in we used to specialize in really customized membership areas. We have now migrated into focusing on continuity journeys. And so we study other continuity journeys. And what we know is that there are 6, what we call experience models. So these are things where it's what you're trying to take somebody through. It has a very clear intention. And we know that there's only 6 of these. So, and these are the 6 right here: the sprint, the library, the course, the mastermind, the coaching, and the event. We know that those are it. And we also know that they map up with funnel strategy and now linchpin strategy. So in this particular build that we're going to show you today, there were 2 core ones. The first one was one that we call a library. Now, imagine a library is something, again, you walk in, there is lots of room for discovery, and everybody comes in with a different kind of query or curiosity. And so you want to be able to facilitate that of what are they looking for and meet them where they're at and get them the right resource. And a lot of times in library models, the hardest part about the library model is that you never really know who's going to come in the front door. So in this particular case, we built a library model for someone who he's one of our geeks, him and his team, and they had 800 podcasts. 800 podcasts. And so part of the offer was to be able to make those podcasts more accessible. So if I went out onto YouTube, I could find all of the podcasts, but good luck trying to find them, right? Because I don't necessarily know, they don't have the data on it for me to be able to search based on what I know, what he knew his customers would be searching for. So we're going to show you what that means in a second. To give you a frame of reference, when we talk about library models, for instance, FunnelFlix, if you guys remember FunnelFlix, when Russell, that was a library model, had all of his teachings and his programs, and it had Searchy, which allowed you to search the language or the transcript of every video to find the thing that you were looking for based on whatever keyword you might have. Or if you look at Mastermind is another really popular one out there, or one that we all know really well, Netflix. It's a library model. It's basically, there's a ton of content. It has to be organized in a specific way. It has recommender systems, and it helps people to be able to find the content they want. So that is the library experience. And so we built one of those, a V1 of those, in what we're about to share. The second one is a little bit more complicated, and we don't see them a lot because usually they're a little bit later on in the journey, or at the very beginning when you don't have a lot of tech. And that's what we call the mastermind model. So in the mastermind model, this is really where Eric's going to go live and give little mini workshops and talk about those workshops. But Susan, I always lose the one from yesterday, actually, is the one I want. So let me find that really quick. But it's basically being able to have easy, like if you have replays, for instance, this would be a great example of like, I just want to go in, there's already a known organization system. I just want to find those things and be able to easily access them based on, what I am looking at, the very specific keyword that I'm looking for. So it's similar to a library model, but the difference is that it's not quite as chaotic in that I don't know who's going to come in the door asking for something. I've already imposed a structure. Usually it's like date-based. I did a masterclass every Thursday. So the dates on the Thursday as an example. Okay. So that is just a general overview of the two main things. Should I pull it up now?
Yeah, here, we'll bring that down. So yeah. Okay. So we're going to dive into the build that we've been working on. And yeah, this is in 2.0. It's not live yet, but it's going to be going live like any now. And okay, are you ready for the reveal? Do we need a drum roll? Right. So what you're about to land on, though, what we're going to show you is customer center. So, if you're a ClickFunnels user or you've bought something from ClickFunnels and it's in the new 2.0 version of ClickFunnels, you go and you do the login or you do the magic link sign-in page, and then you land on their customer center. Our customer center on the one you're about to see is very different, but it's the same customer center page. Okay, we ready?
Yep, ready. Cool. Yay. And also just a shout out to some of the viewers. Lawrence, hello. So glad that you can join us. I know it is late in the UK. Hopefully you are fresh back from the pub or on your way. And thank you so much for joining us. Love to have you here. Okay, so this is the 2.0 membership experience. And this is for Eric. He has a movement called Restaurant Unstoppable. He has a big vision of that restaurant owners are the ones that are going to change the world by being able to create amazing, not just restaurant experiences for the people who consume the restaurant services and food, but also who create an amazing culture inside of the restaurants that they own. And so he helps in that journey. Again, like I said, he started off as a podcaster. He still does podcasting. He actually just got his the camper. So he's going like full-time on the road. He's taking the show on the road. So he's going to be out of his Unstoppable mobile, traveling around the country, interviewing restaurateurs, and now creating a program for restaurant owners to come in. So this is going to be an amazing pop-up video for him as soon as it's ready. This is his umbrella framework. So this is something that we work with everybody in the Geek Out community. When you create an amazing continuity experience, you essentially are creating a world. And in that world is your expertise. And so we want to map that expertise in some way, shape, or form in a visual, right? So people can see it. So in Eric's world, this is his umbrella framework. So you can see that people come out from the chaotic world of how do I become a restaurateur? They first start looking at the podcast, and then Eric has created this amazing filter of key things that restaurateurs could look through and understand in order to own their own restaurant and grow their restaurant business. And then he has a framework on how to be unstoppable as a restaurant owner. And so his entire world is trying to help people navigate wherever they may be in this journey. And so you come here, and Dan, this is where your amazingness comes in. Do you want to talk a little bit about just what's happening on the screen right now of what's presented and what's behind here?
Yeah, sure. Now, as we go through this here, you're going to notice in some places that the images, you're like going, what is that image? And there's a video on the next screen with a cat and a dog on it. It's just when I'm building these things, if I don't have an image, I put something in its place. It's normally a picture of a cat or a dog or something like that. So if you see something like that, you know why it's on the page. In this case here, what we had to do, because again, this is the actual customer center page. And so we used what it is the contact information inside of ClickFunnels. You can pull it up on any page in here using what is known as liquid syntax. And so we're able to pull up that information. So we can then look at this. It's basically a big array of data. And we can look at that and say, okay, which courses or modules within those courses do they have access to? And we can loop through those And then based on that, we can show or not show certain images on here. So if you go back up to the top there, you see you are coaching, it says unlock now. So the way we start this is there's actually two images on the page next to each other. And through the code, we say, okay, do they have access to this course? If not, they're going to get the locked image. And if they do, they get the other image. The other image, of course, would have a link then to the training material somewhere else. And that's the other thing on this page is we don't believe in just like putting it together so you can use breadcrumbs. So you're going to go from the customer center to the course homepage, to the module one, to the sub module, to a lesson. We want to have the ability to be able to jump around and be able to use whatever kind of page types we want. And so because of that, if we have an image here, so like you see there, RU Network, that will have an actual link in it to where we want them to go. So it's not the built-in functionality of ClickFunnels. We basically throw out half of the built-in functionality and just code it ourselves and say, okay, this is where we want them to go to from here. And the same thing where at this time, there's only two of these live on this page. So the RU Network is working. And then the one at the bottom, I think was a podcast one at the bottom. If we click on those, they will take us to the content we want to show next.
Yeah. So right now, the tier 2 program that he, in our language, in linchpin language, it's his level 1. In his language, he calls it tier 2. But it is the RU Network is the thing that he's selling. So if we come in here, these are for people who they've been listening to the podcast, and this is that funny video that Dan was talking about, but they've been listening to the podcast. But again, the way that I would access the podcast is I would go to YouTube or I'd go to his website, and then I would just kind of try to search for something, right? Whereas like as a restaurant owner, he knows that the people who come to his world they have particular things that they wanting to search by. So we'll show you in just a second how we support that in the library. And then this is the buyer community that supports it. This is the podcast that Dan was talking about and masterminds, which we'll go through. So inside the library, Dan, anything you want to talk about here?
Well, the top of the page is something that because we're not using breadcrumbs, because we're not using the standard format built into ClickFunnels, as I started to build this 2 weeks ago, I realized, well, I need a way to be able to get them back to where they came from, because hitting the back button isn't always necessarily the right thing that you want them to. And we certainly don't want them to have to hit the back button to go back. But there's also wasn't going to be any navigation element on here or any breadcrumbs. So I had to build that back button into there. And that took quite a bit of logic. And seriously, it took me 3-4 full days probably to figure that out and get it actually working properly, which means that apparently I must be really slow, because it was fun. It was funny. It was fun. And now we actually got it working. And I think it's working in all instances now, because you'd be surprised how many different things you can click on a page will actually change the URL. And so what I have to do here is every single page we land on, I have to say, okay, where did they come from? And I have to save that information to be able to send them back to it when they click that back button. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, I don't think there's much on here. I think we don't have it in here yet. There's going to be a podcast player right there where it says listen to the latest podcast or episode, right? Okay.
Yeah. And we're going to use L sites to do that. So yeah. Oh, Marika, I love her. Okay. So let's go into the library. And this is remember how I said he had 800? So him and his team spent a ton of time. They have all of their episodes in Airtable. And all of those episodes are organized according to, we did a working session. And he said, you know what? I know what would best help restaurateurs if they're looking for episodes. I know the things that they're going to want to look by, right? And he knows that because he knows his people. So he knows the keywords that people are going to have coming in the door. So what we did is we come into the library. Now, this is this is all 800 videos, but our podcast, but the difference is that we have it filtered by the things that he knows how people are going to want to find things. So people are going to want to search by location. Show me all the restaurateurs in my neighborhood. I know I looked for Colorado Springs because I want to check out some of these restaurants, right? Or search by restaurant type. So are you fine dining? Are you a food truck? Are you right? So he has all those organized. And then search by topic. So he knows the pain points. So he has systems that have pain points, right? Or maybe it's checklists or KPIs. And he knows that these are things that people want to understand. Or search by guest or title. Maybe there's some recognition on the title name, right? The chef that he interviewed or something like that. Or search by number of locations. This is huge if you're growing in a restaurant. Do you have one location? Are you at a point where you have 5, right? Or search by his framework, the 4 Ps, which are process, people, purpose, and personal growth, right? Or I'm sorry, promotion and personal growth. And so he has organized things that he's like, hey, if you really want to learn about the process and systems, check out these ones, right? And so he has all of those organized accordingly, which is awesome. So, and this is where Dan really did some amazingness. So, Dan, real quick, before you talk about the amazingness you did on here, what you're seeing here is a filtered view of Airtable. And so if I come into any one of these, I can come in and I can access the YouTube right there. And so now I don't have to go search and hunt on YouTube for somebody if I want to say, hey, show me all of the interviews he did in Arizona. I don't have to do that. I can just come in here. I can find all those Arizona ones right there. And then boom, it's so much easier to find. And that's what people are paying for. Easier, curated, filtered content, publicly available content, but easier to navigate in a way that's meaningful to me. Yeah. Cool. Okay, Dan, talk about the amazingness, because the way I was going to go down the path, so for any of you advanced funnel builders out there, here's where you might think you need to do. You would make, there's 6 of these buttons. You would make 6 rows. Each row would have one of them highlighted, and you would do a crazy shenanigans of show hide on, okay, once this button's clicked, show these 5. And once it's not clicked, hide these, right? And Susan's laughing because she's exactly what I'm talking about. So when I went
one
to
of our
Dan,
pages on our funnel hub, and it's really clunky.
right. And so when I went to Dan, I was like, Dan, save me from myself. Dan, talk about the amazingness you did.
Well, I don't remember having that conversation. It's just when I was in here this morning, I saw that you were doing exactly that, doing a show hide on everything. And I was just like, no, I had some other things I had to fix on this page. So I was just like, well, I'm going to fix that too, because I mean, it works just fine. But what it really comes down to is, because the beauty of ClickFunnels, again, is you have, not only can you put in IDs for every single element on the page, you can put in as many custom attributes as you would like. So each one of these buttons has like 2 or 3 different attributes on them. And by doing that, an attribute is just basically, think of it as giving it a name. And so we give each one of these a name. So like the first one, I called that, search by location. So I say that every one of these that has this name of search by location, when you click on search by location, then go down below and find the row that I created that was also called search by location. So when you click on one, it shows the other. And then you click on the next one. So you go search by restaurant. It's very simple. You just say, okay, when I click on one of these buttons up top, I want to make sure that all of the stuff in the bottom is hidden. So the very first thing you do is you hide everything. And then you say, okay, well, now show me the one that has the name search by restaurant on it. And so then that one pops up on the screen. And that's what it is. And realistically, it's more of a logical experiment than anything else, because once you figure out the logic, it's about 5 lines of code and giving them all names that make sense. So it's, and then we had to do stuff. I put in some hover effects there on the buttons, as long as, again, that's all built right into ClickFunnels. You might as well do it. And the only other thing on here is Andrea had it so that all of the rows were showing on page load. And I just changed this so it would default to search by location, just so that one of them was there. And then the button would be highlighted as well.
Brilliant. I love it. And I have noticed that in 2.0, because that each one is a page load, right? The show hide isn't as smooth in 2.0 because of that like page load issue, right? And so to me, I feel like our shenanigans and hacks around show hide need to be done. Yeah.
They have an animation when you're doing show hide, and it just, it's not a clean transition.
It actually fades in is what it does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got like about a 0.3 of a second fade in or something. And I was doing one the other day where I was trying to hide and show, and there, like one has to fade out as the other one fades in. Well, the one that's fading out still has its space there that is taking up until it's 100% gone. So the one is like fading out and the other one's coming in below, and then this one pops up into its place. I'm like, nah, I don't like the way that looks. So that's why I ended up building it this way.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, it is. It's awesome, Dan. You did so good. Okay, and now we're going to leverage this amazing back button that is not
Cross
really...
your fingers. Cross your fingers. I've only had to redo this.
Okay, so that's the library model. And again, we just leveraged... Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, no, okay. So the other one's a mastermind or masterclass. I thought you were calling a master class, so that's what I called it, but you're calling it a mastermind model?
No, so masterclass is fine. It is a mastermind model. It's technically the experience model, but I know it's confusing because this one was like a V1 hybrid, and so it's not your fault. It's us. It's on us. We'll get it.
We got one other thing we can show on here that is actually, I think, one of the coolest things. That's I don't think that image is working because I didn't realize that went to the same place as the podcast.
Yeah.
So you got to go back. You got to go back to the customer center
through this amazing back button I have. Okay.
Yes.
All right, and that's
we could put a link on the page for home, which would just automatically take somebody back to the customer center.
I think that's what this little pineapple dude does.
Oh well, if so, I don't.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Nicole did that.
Yeah.
Did that actually work? Oh, yeah. Nicole did that. Okay, because I don't think I did that.
Yeah, Nicole did it. Yep. Okay, cool. So yes, do we want to talk a little bit about this, Dan? Amazingness?
Okay, so same thing on this page here. Now at the bottom, we actually use a built-in ClickFunnels element, which is the lesson collection. And as you can see here, we don't have any lessons or anything in here. So this is just my test material. So the only one that is actually working is the third one over that says action items in this lesson. That's just to remind me where I put some other things that are moving. So I want you to click on that, and you're going to see the animation that occurs as this is clicked on. So no, you got to click on the third one.
Oh, sorry. Because you're amazing AI. I'm so sorry. Okay.
Well, it's not that. It's the one with the action items in it.
Yes.
So again, how a lesson works is you have a template for the lesson, and then you have the lesson content itself. So the lesson template contains really only two things. It contains the title, all the way up at the top, whatever. I think I just left the call to action headline in there. And then it also has the code that makes these boxes at the bottom animate. So as you saw there, as Andrea clicked on the yellow part, it slides the content below it up and down.
And that arrow looks so good.
And then, telling you, you're doing it backwards. But
no, that's totally right.
And then in the upper right-hand corner, I have a close button up there. Simply because they got to get out of this thing somehow, because how this works, again, this is an iframe. And so when somebody clicks on the lesson content here, I grab the hold of the link of where they're supposed to go to, I put it into an iframe, and I open that up on the page. So if you click on it again, Andrea, you're going to see here, we're going, normal way that ClickFunnels would work is you would click on that lesson, you would go to another page. Well, again, we don't want to have to go to another page. We want to keep them right here, but it takes about a second or so for that iframe to load. So that's why I put the animation in there to hide the load time. And then it just kind of comes in and out, and it's pretty cool when it does that. So I'm quite happy with the way that turned out. And you can change that animation to kind of look however you want. I just thought make it look like an old time TV, just kind of closing and come in and then down to the middle like that.
I think it looks awesome. And now we just need the.
Well, again,
what make it circular.
What they were asking. Right. Well, what they were asking for the other day is to give lens effects, which is basically just a circle effect, which we can do. But look at, if you put it into that green box there, how are you going to do a circular effect inside of that green box? It's not going to look like a circle after it gets out 10% of the way.
Oh, you mean if they're rectangular? Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, that's what I was telling you the other day. Is if you did it on the full screen, it works. but you can't do it in the side of a small box that's especially really rectangular, like long like that. It just you lose the effect instantly.
It's so funny. I so understand what you're saying. And I don't know if it was just the way I was, like how I'm hardwired, but whenever I say like you can't, there's something in me that's so like ingrained that I was like, so you're telling me we can. Okay. I just kind of presented a different way.
I can but click on this lesson again here, because you see how it gets tall and then goes wide. And then it reverses that on the way back out. Well, you could do the exact same thing. You just start in the center and you just go out the same amount consistently instead of going up and then over. It's just it's a keyframe. It's an animation that uses keyframes inside of CSS in order to do that.
It's cool. Yeah, it looks so good. And again, this is a really good model if you guys have, let's say, replays, right? So let's say that you have just a ton of replays. The worst experience you can give for people is to like go drill, right? And if the replays are just the replays, like they're just videos, then another model that we have is that it's just a pop-up video, right? So keep them on the page, it's just a pop-up video. But in this case, we wanted to make it a little bit more actionable. So because the masterclass is used as his nurture event, which brings them into the larger program. And so it was important for us that it wasn't just the replay. It's not just the video. It actually has actions, which you could give like a guide or, hey, go do this and share it in the group. So it allows some additional engagement to help people in the journey beyond just what a replay would typically do. Yep. Super cool.
And that picture, I'm sure you can tell I created that with AI. So just
it's awesome. It's awesome. Yes. Yeah. And so then that is his membership area. So it is in 2.0 and it is based off of the experience models. Each one of these has a very intentional experience. He's going to be doing his coaching program here soon, will be the next release, and that'll be more of a traditional course model. So Dan, you'll get your navigation with that one. So that'll be them going through a year-long program with him and a group of restaurateurs. And yeah, if you see the restaurant mobile in your neighborhood, it's all decaled out. He's ready to rock. So it's yeah, shout out to Eric and his team. And just, yeah, all of us I know feel really, really lucky to be able to work with him. So, and it was a really fun project and soon to be launched any day now.
All right. Okay. I think that's it for us. Have an amazing weekend. Let us know what you're working on, because I know there's a lot. We're live in our CF 2.0 Geek Out group. We're live in Dan's CF Ninja Hackers group. We're live on YouTube. Like, leave a comment wherever you are watching and let us know what is it that you are working on so we can keep up with that and support you in any way that we can. So,
yeah. Oh, and shout out to Donnie's here too. I love it. We got Donnie and Marika and Lawrence. What a great group. Geeks are amazing. I love it. Awesome. Cool.
All right. We'll see you guys later.
Have a great weekend.